I don't think anyone had a battle royale in their bingo card as what's gonna come to World of Warcraft this year. But hey, here we are. So if you haven't heard, that's right. World of Warcraft has a battle royale right now. Temporary for the time being, but yeah, we from the last season, the last patch, we actually ended up getting a whole new event that they haven't teased or talked about or anything, and then they just dropped it basically on the release date, maybe even a few hours before it went live. Plunderstorm. And it seems, at least for the first few days, that the community was kinda split. I saw people absolutely loving it, and I also saw a lot of comments about people who absolutely hated it and thought it was the worst thing ever. Me personally, I honestly, I would say that I have had a much better time the more I've played. Actually, the first couple of runs, I was not really digging it too much, but also I'm not really a battle royale guy. At most, I played, Fortnite and I think a little bit of PUBG back in the day. But that's basically it. Very little experience with battle royales. But the more I've played, the more I kind of like figure it out, and also just I'm having a lot more fun with it. What is like interesting about this battle royale here is because if you want to have a battle royale out in the market, you kind of have to offer something different. Like Fortnite is basically just it has like all the fundamentals like down, right? Like that's their whole gimmick, or like their whole thing that makes them different is like the amount of skins and events that they have. But like the actual battle royale experience, yeah, Fortnite kind of has that like not like put down exactly like how that should be. So if you want to like get on the market, if you want to make a battle royale, you kind of have to do something different. And Blunderstorm does something different, and it's something I think is quite interesting. But it's also something that I think it leads to its biggest negativities with this game mode. But basically, what Blunderstorm does different from most other battle royales is basically just that you have to level up. Killing mobs, going around and farming, like looting, plundering, and all that kind of stuff will give you experience. You will level up, you increase your health and the damage that you do. So where a lot of the other battle royales can be very like focused on engagement, and like getting the right loot, and definitely getting the right loot is also important in Blunderstorm, because instead of like getting guns or like whatever or weapons, you instead get spells, and there are a few spells. There are actually 10 offensive spells, and then 10 utility spells, and then a handful of like items that you can pick up during the match. But basically just the more you kill, the more you level up, the more damage you will do, and the more health you will get. So you just get stronger from just killing everything. And I think, the positive of this, doing the whole leveling gimmick kind of thing is that it's kind of more relaxed compared to some of the other battle royales I've played, or, just the communities, that kind of that sense that you get from them. With Blunderstorm, you're mostly, everyone's kind of just focused on getting somewhere kind of like excluded from everyone else, and just being able to just grind mobs from the early to kind of mid game. So if you were like me and have like never basically PvP'd, not PvP'd, but like not anything like seriously, or like I'm also just really bad at PvP, or I just in general just don't really care much about the wanting to engage and stuff like that. Like this battle royale, Plunderstorm, is honestly a really great beginners. At least it feels like it's more chill in that kind of sense. And then also just means that it's rare that you will fall into a huge engagement right in the beginning of the match and just die instantly. I mean, it does still happen. You can end up landing the same place as someone else does. But yeah, we might as well just go into the negative of this whole leveling thing, which I honestly think is the biggest negative of Blunderstorm, is what is honestly really holding it back, at least I think. Which is basically just that, yeah, it's super chill that there are no like engagement basically and it's not true that there's no engagement. The point is just that every engagement in early and like mid game, it's first like late mid game to late game that it actually becomes durable, or like actually advantageous to go into engage with other players. But in the early games, there's no reason to it. Actually, you are handicapping yourself and might even just throw the game off if you are just engaging at someone at like level 2 or whatever. Because at that, or like early in the game, you don't really have the toolkit unless you got like really lucky. You don't really have the toolkit to necessarily kill someone off the same way that they don't necessarily have the toolkit to like kill you off. So usually you just like trading spells at each other, dimming down each other's health, drinking up your health pool. But again, as I mentioned, you don't really have the tools to like actually execute. Meaning that most of the times, like most engagements in early game, is just a complete waste of time because you're not killing mobs while someone across the map is killing mobs. And the thing about like the leveling is it's so important. Like if you go to the late game and you are level 6 or 7 and someone else is just level 8 or 9 or 10, then it's over. You're dead. Like you cannot actually survive that. Unless they play like horrendously, but then like still, like, basically at that point it's just like a few lucky spells and you're dead. And since, you know, ads don't really spawn or anything, there's not really any catch up. Meaning that if you fall behind because, for example, you went into an early game engagement, there's not really much chance you have to actually catch up, meaning that that's basically just a loss right there. I do think that leveling brings a good flow to the game when everything is going perfectly, and well, not perfectly, just when you're having a good run and like you're not being forced into engagements early or anything like that. I think it does have a pretty good flow of everyone just, you know, getting the time and not feeling the pressure to like get all their items and like get their levels up and stuff like that, going into the late game with like a full down kit and everything. But leveling is kind of like too important. Well, either the difference between the levels are too great, or simply you need to introduce more catch-up mechanics. And I don't necessarily think it should be a catch-up mechanic, because then what is the point of being ahead, right? Like, what is the point of actually getting that really, really good spot and farming on the lone if everyone else just going to be at the end of it caught up, right? Instead, I think the other way around should just simply be that the difference between the levels are not as severe as they are now. Like, right now, I think you will lose a fight with anyone that's like 2 levels above of you. While I think, you know, 2 levels should be in the reasonable area, right? Like you should be able to take someone out that's like, yeah, they should have a little bit more health and do a little bit more damage, but like at least now it feels really like impossible to like kill someone that's like 3 or 2 levels higher than you. So reducing the effectiveness of like being higher level while still having a little bit of advantages would actually just mean that like it's not a complete waste of time and you will still get rewarded for, I was about to say playing properly, but like, you know, actually farming up and leveling up and being higher than other people. But not such an advantage that it's just an automatically win, right? I have 2 other like kind of negatives I want to like talk about with Plunderstorm. One of them is basically just the map. And this is personal preference. I just really don't like the map. I think it's not the layout or anything. It's purely aesthetically. I think WoW has such an interesting catalog of cool maps. I saw someone post on Reddit that like, hey, what about Nagrand as like the next one? I mean, I thought would be absolute mind blowing. Yes, of course. Imagine all actually just a bunch of like old zones. Like imagine Hellfire Peninsula. Or maybe like even like Soldier, or even like a Shadowlands map. I don't know, like I'm just saying, like, you know, WoW has such an interesting map. Like you can like there's so many maps you can actually choose from. I think like yeah, a Rafri Highlands is honestly a little bit more on the blander side of it. So visually, I'm not really that huge of the map, and I think it's been more brighter, more colorful, a little bit more cartoony WoW style, if you know what I mean. Then, you know, it probably would have like made me want to play a little bit more. I know it sounds a little bit stupid, but like yeah. And I mean, the last negative is basically just that I think this game should have been, at least this mode should have been free to play. I think that would be an amazing way to get new players or old players back into the game and like, you know, actually trying it out. I mean, the level of popularity most new battle royales, especially a battle royale that has like the name of World of Warcraft, like that many players and that many like traction behind it, getting that like into the public hands, that would like just have introduced so many more people to World of Warcraft. And I think you could have done some cool stuff with the reward system here. Like, I think you could like have done something like, you know, increasing the amount of XP you will get if you have like a subscription and you go over to leveling. So like, you know, it kind of not forces you, but it like encourages you to like go out and actually play retail or classic, right? But I think, you know, with that, it's actually a good point to talk a little bit about the reward system, because I'm honestly a little bit worried about you guys. The biggest like negative, or like the most negative comment I've seen is basically from people who are saying stuff like, yeah, I hate this game mode, you know, I hate battle royales, it's not for me, but I'm forced to do it because Blizzard implemented rewards in it, you know, mounts and transmogs and stuff like that. So I have to play it. No, you don't. I'm sorry, I know that like collectors is a huge amount of like WoW players, but like really guys, like I have been in that situation myself where I really fell into the FOMO, like fear of missing out, like, because that's the thing, like WoW, like this game of Plunderstorm is it's only here to the 20th of April, I think 21st if it's EU, correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't really necessarily think that this comes from the like FOMO from Blizzard's side. I don't think it's like, oh, okay, like, no, it's limited, so more people are playing it. I honestly think it's just that they don't want to commit too much developers if it's gonna like completely flop or people are not interested, right? Like they want to wait and see how people like, you know, responses. They even said it themselves, like on like the patch date, that they would be interesting to like keep this around if everyone was like up for it. So I don't think it's a FOMO from their side, but also you need reward systems in this. Like I don't see how it's a negative that, you know, playing this game mode, you know, gives you cool stuff in retail and stuff like that. You just personally, you individually, if you are a collector and you are sitting with these kind of like feelings, gut feelings, you don't have to play this. Really, it sounds like an obligation, you know, forcing yourself to do something you're not interested in doing for something that you're probably not even gonna use. And also, like, yeah, this might be me throwing my neck on the line. Most of this is probably gonna be in the training post later on, right? Like, are we actually missing out something? Maybe. But then I don't likely, probably not. Like, it's gonna come most likely in a trading post, either like a recolor or something different. But like, yeah, I'm sure the mount and the transmog eventually will like come around. I would highly encourage you to try this mode out, and especially play a little bit more than you might want to, because the more you play, the more fun it actually does become. But also, just guys, if you're not having fun with this, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, please. Just don't force yourself into it, because that is the worst way to play this game, and you're gonna absolutely hate it, and also like feel the negativity, right? Like it's not healthy for you. It's not good for you. Please, I'm concerned. I also saw a lot of people talk about the balancing, specifically the flame whirl ability in the beginning, and you know, it did get nerfed by the movement speed, not really the damage, which I was surprised about, because I also, well, honestly, in the beginning every spell that everyone else had felt overpowered because I sucked. And also had no idea what like the counter of those spells were. Playing a little bit more, there are definitely outliners of abilities. I've had a lot of success with the Searing Axe, which has been really heavy hitting, and also like Flame Whirl. Preach made a video also talking about Plunderstorm, where he actually mentioned that Flame Whirl, and it's actually really correct what he said, that it's basically a really overpowered ability in the early games. As soon as you run into the later games, when you actually have stuns and you have like a lot of utility, you can kind of shut it down relatively easy and recover from it. But it definitely feels like all around that the spells are kind of balanced a little bit. I say a little bit because like it kind of falls into this whole, like, you know, you want to build a kit or like the right tools kit, but it's random. So every game is definitely not going to be the same, but also just you're going to have games where like you have absolutely nothing to like go with, right? Or you have games where everything just lines up perfectly and you have like a really nasty wombo combo where you can just like spam all your abilities and then just have a kill. And I was considering putting that as a negative, like the RNG element of it, but I also kind of just like fought back and was like, that's kind of just the Battle Royale system, right? Like, can you really fault Plunderstorm for just following what is kind of normal in or like the whole gimmick of Battle Royales? Basically, that you don't have anything and you kind of just have to like search through the scraps and, you know, pull something together and kind of like just work with whatever you like end up getting. Because it is frustrating, like in the games where like you don't like that goes really terrible and you don't really get anything you can use. In the same way that like getting something that's like really great is, or like getting like all the lucky drops and getting a really good like kit built together really early in the game. Like those games feel really great. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna continue playing Plunderstorm. I am honestly having a blast with it. I'm not playing it as much as probably a lot of others, like really heavy grinders are playing. I'm only like renown, I don't even know at this point, like 10 or something like that. So I have a long way to go, but no, I'm definitely having a lot of fun with it. And, you know, with the abilities, I just want to point out also that Blizzard did an amazing job visually and just impactfully with these spells. Like, everything just feels extremely, like, it has, like, a oomph to it. And it's visually clear, meaning that, like, just after, like, a few games, you can kind of pick up what other people have, just, like, you know, what they're throwing at you, right? Like, everything is kind of, like, visually clear, which is not necessarily... And like something that always happens with Blizzard and like WoW, like, you know, sometimes things get cluttered away and like smothered, but like no, here everything is pretty crisp and pretty clear, and yeah, it's really fun to play with. But yeah, let me know what you guys are thinking of Plunderstorm, and also like how far with like renown you guys are. I'm really curious to see if I have like some really big grinders there, or I just have people who just haven't touched this at all. I'm really curious to hear your guys' opinion, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, take care everyone.